Welcome to Roo Code office hours or office hours, after hours, office hours, whatever you want to call it. This is the part of the show where we cover shit that we didn't cover in the main podcast. So much so that we didn't even spell office right in the name of this podcast when we posted it online. So it's Roo Code office hours. I'm going to bring on stage with me my co-host here, Roo Tang. He's from our community. Welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Okay, and we also have Dan. He's on our code team. And last, definitely, probably the least, my brother, Matthew Rudolph. Welcome.
Hey, happy to be here.
So I am going to ask some questions here. We have all of you use Roo Code quite aggressively, and I would like to talk to you about your experience with it. I would say that in this room we have some very differing experiences when it comes to engineering. Let's start with Matthew. What is your experience with coding? How have you used Roo Code? How has it helped you? I personally, I sort of have an idea of the answer, and I'm asking you this because I think that a lot of people in the community will be able to relate to your answer. So here, let's get you on stage.
Sure. Yeah, my experiences with coding is I just dabbled with things to fix some stuff in a CRM some years ago in PHP and MySQL, and it kind of I don't know, it got me interested in some of the things. And as of late, I started to use Roo Code because obviously there's some things that I'd like to build, some things I'd like to make, and I don't necessarily know how to do it all. I can understand, like if I look at code, I can read, sort of understand enough of it, and I can Google my way through figuring out what things mean. But sitting there and writing, a whole page of whole stuff, like I can't necessarily do that. So being able to use Roo Code, right? Like I've started to use it to my most recent project's a website that I had to make for a charity project that we do, and which was a really fun experience because the first attempt, I thought I'm going to go ahead and one-shot this, and that didn't work. And the next attempt was a much more structured approach, and so I use it for things like that, as well as doing work on our CRM. We have an in-house internal, our own CRM. So,
who's we?
My company, Max Caroline Group. We have a carpet and furnace cleaning company. And
hold on, I guess we have a carpet cleaner on this show. Goodness, couldn't be worse. Maybe a dry cleaner. That would be terrible. I
know, right? Yeah. Well, we have one of those too, and that, and that's why you're pointing in that direction. Way to go.
Sorry.
Wait. Didn't you used to work there?
No, never did. They wouldn't have me. They would have fired me.
They sure did, didn't they? They sure did fire you, didn't they? We fired our own brother.
What can I say?
We still get along.
It would seem.
Took some time, but we get along. So like I use it for those kind of projects, right? And it's really been invaluable, and it's been tons of fun to learn.
But you don't make any slop with it. All these projects sound kind of tame to me. I mean, slop would be more fun, right?
To get to where I need to go, let me tell you, there's a lot of slop along the way. That's for sure. I use it in my personal. Actually, so a lot of the practice that I do is in the evenings. I go home and I'll make there's a Minecraft server.
Whoa! This is after hours, but this is still not like.
Well, hold on. It's a family-friendly Minecraft server, okay? I got small kids, and I needed a safe place for them. So there's this Minecraft server that we have, Blocklandia. It's very, you have to get whitelisted to get on, and we can see all the chat, and we monitor that, and we make sure the kids are safe.
Yeah.
So we have all sorts of plugins, and plugins are interesting for Minecraft, right? Because you've got a modded version of Minecraft that you're running as your servers, and then you've got all these plugins doing all sorts of things. And so sometimes we find a fantastic plugin, and then it goes on for a couple of years, and then they just stop. That's just it. It was maybe a kid, teenager, university student doing it. Then he got a real job and got busy. So we have to keep it updated, and it's open source stuff. So I've updated a handful of our plugins to work with new versions, and that's a bit of my learning is kind of going like, this is a pretty safe environment to mess around with these things and see if I can get them working.
Okay, but how did you get involved? Like, what's your experience with Roo? Like, how when you onboarded, when you first tried using it, like what you're not a prolific coder, so what did you do? You just downloaded it and started, fix this, fix that.
How that's it. I just opened a folder. I git cloned something and went and just started saying like, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that, and then tested the results. Yeah,
it's a very neat feeling the first time that you succeed in doing something like that using one of these tools. Like the parts start moving inside your head. You start realizing what could actually be accomplished if you type the right words into the right tool. That was.
Yeah. So hey, you like to type the right words into the tool constantly. I see you in maybe not the right words. I see you putting things in general chat constantly that should be in the off topic. So what do you do with Roo Code?
I do a lot with Roo Code. I've made hundreds of projects in various states of disrepair.
I've only known you for a week. How did you make hundreds?
Well, I mean, I stay up late, and my wife 2 days ago said, "Are you still messing with that goddamn AI shit?" And I thought that was funny. She said, but no, mostly just stuff for fun. Like, I'm an IT consultant in real life, but I don't really need to do software development for my job. So all the software development I do with Roo Code and tools like Roo Code, it's just projects for fun to see if I can do it. Often I can't do it because I'm trying to build something too complicated. But yeah, the beauty of Roo Code is if you know how to prompt it right, and if you know how to set up a project properly, anyone can use it. Anyone can use it just by typing words into it, just by prompting it. Yeah, I could teach my 9-year-old daughter to build something in using Roo Code.
Because you're good at teaching, or because Roo Code's easy to use?
Yeah, because Roo Code is easy to use.
So you're not good at teaching.
Well, I think that I'm okay at teaching. It's just teachers often know what they're talking about. I don't really know what I'm talking about. So like when sometimes I'm hesitant to help out on the Discord when people ask questions because I'm worried that I'm not going to give them the right information. But
they won't know.
Yeah, like exactly. Until they follow it to the T and it doesn't work. But Roo Code is like having a mech suit for doing software development, but it's more than that because it could help you use your computer. It can help you use software. If you don't know how to use certain software, you could just type a prompt to Roo telling it that you're trying to do this and give it the information of where the software is located, and it just learns how to use the software. It reads the verbose output of the commands that are typed into the console, and it figures out. Well, I say it's obviously the LLM.
A she. Roo Code is a she.
Oh, sorry, I had no idea. Boy, is this awkward now. Yeah. But yeah, it's useful for more than just software development. You could I use tools like this for database administration sometimes. Instead of typing out SQL commands or whatever, I just ask Roo to do it for me, and Roo will either write a Python script that does everything that I ask of it to send the SQL commands one after another,
or will send your passwords to some random person.
Well, that's half the thrill, isn't it? If there's no danger involved, it wouldn't be as fun.
Well, Dan, you're so quiet over there. Probably actually doing work.
I got a question for you, Dan. Did you I don't know? You're the typical users for Roo Code. Are they more like Roo Tang and I, like guys who are just kind of fumbling our way, figuring things out. Is honestly sometimes, I don't know, in the chat on Discord, right? I feel like I'm a faker, right? Because I'm not really a coder, you know.
You're not a trained engineer.
Right. I'm not exactly. And so here I am just like hacking away at shit and trying to figure it out. But are we actually probably more of your typical user?
I would say we all use Roo the same way. For example, if I'm working on a new project, a code base that I'm not familiar, I'm just asking Roo stuff, doing the same thing, try this, see if it works. At some point, you get familiar with the code base enough so you can tell Roo exactly what it needs to do. But I think there's no difference between how a non-engineer and an engineer uses Roo if they're actually not coding. If they're coding, it's different. Then you're coding and asking questions and coding some more. If you're full using Roo to write everything you code, then there's not much of a difference here. I would say.
I don't know. I think that you're right to a degree, but I think that part of the issue or the situation is that the trained engineers approach it so much differently at first. Because you could say to someone who doesn't code or doesn't code very much, just ask it a question and they'll be like, okay, I'll ask it a question. You say that to an engineer and they're like, this is my code base. This isn't, it doesn't work. They're a lot more square, I find, initially, until they realize that they can just talk with their code base.
That they don't have to search Stack Overflow anymore.
Yeah. I would say I was like that at first with AI. I was like, oh, no, don't write my code. Just answer my questions, and I will write the code. But once you get into... Once you realize that you can just go much faster than you usually go with AI, just writing your code, it's just write the code and I'll check if it works later and actually look at the code, see if it's good. So yeah, definitely feels like that at the beginning, or felt like that for me. Was really... Well, I didn't trust the AI. I thought, oh, I'm better. And at that time, I was probably better than the AI. Currently, the models are just so good that, you can trust it.
Go ahead. There's a comparison. I recall people that drive around the city a lot. They go, I know where to go. I know where to drive. GPS, I don't need that. And they recall accurately a time where the GPS took them this direction, and they know that's not the shortest way. Okay. But I recall somebody making a point who said, though that's correct, 9 times out of 10, the GPS is going to get it right. It's going to get it and take into account the traffic. And worst case scenario, you probably end up the same time, 10 out of 10 times when you average it using that GPS. And so people that are of the mindset, no, I'm smarter than, I know better. They also, they might, but they get tired. They change. Their behavior is inconsistent. And the consistency of a large language model is predictable to a degree. So you can scale up by getting as many instances as you want going, doing a problem. And so, yeah, even though you might be smarter or better at making the outcome, you can manipulate the large language model using tools like Roo Code to actually get more results faster at the same or better quality. So
there's also another side to that I like to think about. At some point in the future, I'm not sure when, AI will just code better than you, regardless of who you are and your background. And we're just preparing for that. Like if you use Roo or any other tool to code, you're preparing to that moment when you just review the code. If it looks like something you like, you accept it. But it will get to a point where the code that it writes it's going to be better than the one that you write, and it's going to be faster and probably more secure. So at some point,
get used to using it.
Yeah. Even if you hold to it like now, and you're like looking down on vibe coding, like, oh yeah, I vibe coded that, that's why it looks so bad. At some point, either you adapt to that or you get left behind, because people are just going to use AI and be 10 times more productive than you. So I feel like even if it's not as good right now, it's something that you just got to get used to. I mean,
well, I know that we're developing the tools internally to help bridge that gap, like a PR reviewer, which we're going to be releasing very soon to the public, so that you can write that and slop detect it. If it's slop, you can throw it out. If it's good code that just needs a little love, then the reviewer can help guide you there.
Yeah.
It certainly made me feel a lot better when, I think it was it last week, where one of the fellows on the podcast said he hasn't written a line of code in 6 months. And, like, he's like a lead.
Yeah, John Stearns from Rouvette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you got this guy who's like a lead and hasn't written a line of code in 6 months. I was like, okay, that's making me feel a lot better. Yeah. And I've got we've got a programmer who works for us full time. And so our, like, he's a real proper developer.
He's our guild leader. Tell the truth. He is our guild leader.
Well, he was.
Yeah, back in World of Warcraft. It's
absolutely. That's how we met him. I never met the guy in real life.
No,
and
Nimlin?
he's our chief developer, right? But getting him on board, like, I think we're actually slowly getting him on board with this. And I want to get him to the point, like, I want my CRM to be on GitHub on a private repo where, we've got our Roo rules set up, we've got our Roo modes, or now with the agents, right? Like, we've got these things set up, and we can be using it to put things out so fast.
Yeah.
And I was really excited by hearing about Rouvette actually, and how they're using the agents to let people just be like, hey, do this thing, right? And people who don't really know coding, that was like that. I'm really excited for that.
I'm worried that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm worried that I'm gonna let Roo mote wild on my GitHub, and it's going to learn to hate me even more because of how, like, I have public projects. There's 26 repositories on my GitHub, and, like, there's maybe one or two of them that is of any use. Basically, the rest of them are just the most contrived, ridiculous things that do well. Like my
make sure you put a warning there so people know that this was like an MVP slop experiment.
I don't know. It's like going into this dark
happen
part
when
of your
people
brain.
like you do this, and then the large language models train off of this shit.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
going to see this.
Exactly.
Maybe we've peaked.
There's this.
And they're
there's
just training off of your garbage.
I worked for hours and hours on an LTO tape backup solution using Roo Code. This was a while ago, and the way that the LLMs are so happy to say this is done and it's a production ready enterprise grade solution. Anytime that an AI tells me that I am working on something that's production grade, and I know that it's not.
That's how you know it's not.
Yeah, it's not any good.
Okay, just Rise and Grind is here on screen with their question. I feel like I'm getting dumber using AI. My response to that is, I never felt smart. How about yours?
I feel a lot smarter because of AI. Like, I understand what he means and that we're letting it do the heavy lifting. Oh, back in my day, you had to learn the code if you wanted to be a developer, but now you're just getting lazy and prompting and getting the LLM to do it. But no, because it's enabling me to accomplish things that I would never have been able to accomplish without AI. It's a force multiplier. Now, 10 years from now, when no one knows how to code anymore because we've been relying on LLMs and nobody's learning it in school anymore, and then a bad thing happens, like end of the world type scenario where there's no more data centers for inference, and all that's left are the people who know how to write some code, because they're going to be like dinosaurs. But that would be a cool movie. Like,
I feel like you're making a script on air here.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this into a prompt and then write a write a 400-page screenplay using Grok Code Fast and Roo Code. That's fun.
So what models are you?
He's done that. This isn't the first time he's actually done this before.
Yeah. Okay. So
he sent it to me.
What models is everybody using? We're going to start with Dan. Dan, are you just the boring old engineer that uses one or two models? Are you experimenting with these tools like Grok Code Fast?
So I'm actually trying to get stuff done. So I use the best models that I found so far. Sonnet 4.5 and OpenAI medium reasoning, GPT-5 medium reasoning. They're just the best, in my opinion, at anything. OpenAI GPT-5 medium for implementing new stuff that is, kind of complex, and Sonnet 4.5 to doing stuff fast that is probably simpler.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I use. I mean, I used to be
boring.
Yeah. When I was just messing around with Roo, I was trying lots of models, mostly because you look for models that are cheap and good, right? So you try DeepSeek, you try GLM. You are looking for something that is good, but also not as expensive.
Well, especially when you're playing around. If you don't have something funding your development. I mean, I stick to the boring models too.
It's just, if you have unlimited access to the best models, that's usually what you stick to.
How much money do you burn using? Here, this is a good question. We got Rising Grind here again. One day I spent $947 on Opus.
In a single day.
In a single day.
The gif of shoveling cash into a fireplace. That's.
I mean, I don't. These days with GPT-5, it has changed that because one, it's not as fast, but two, it just. I'm not reiterating over and over. Matt, what models are you playing with? I know that you use some at work versus on your side projects.
I use Grok Code Fast at home lots of times because it's free. Because I'm working on a Minecraft plugin or something for this mud that I play, or like it's something that's just kind of inconsequential. So
you play in the mud.
Yeah, look, a lot of the nerds around here are going to know what muds are. Multi-user dungeons. And yes, they are. There are still few around. The one I have
a text-based role-playing game.
8 people, maybe 10 on it. Actually, our last we had 11. Last week.
I feel like these should be getting more popular with seemingly people ridiculously jumping on the console bandwagon. Like, let me use this CLI tool to do my coding.
Right.
And so, by all means, why aren't they joining your mud?
Because they're busy role playing with LLMs. The kids who would be playing mud, they're busy. You look on OpenRouter and all of the stuff that's the most popular, it's people using it to do weird role playing with large language models. It's creepy, man. It's wild. That's something that I can't quite wrap my head around. But
I find that hard to believe. That
when new models pop out, like the first thing people talk about on something like OpenRouter Discord server is it good for roleplay? And then everyone just gives their opinion if it's good for roleplaying, like before coding. Like that's the first thing that people go for new models.
So yes, thanks for that, Hannes, for the derailment. I use Grok Code Fast at home usually, but then I also use I pretty much mostly use GPT-5 or GPT-5 Mini because it just gets it right. Yes, it is slow, like slow as hell, but it gets it right. So I've got my Audible. I love the Audible notifications. I just have those turned on, and sometimes I'll run a couple instances of it and just have it going, doing different things that I need done.
You don't use remote control notifications yet?
The notifications are on for remote control. Sorry, the last 2 weeks I've been in another project that hasn't allowed me to do enough vibe coding stuff. I've been doing.
But realistically, in the cloud interface, maybe we should just have a big button that says you could be notified of this, so that people know.
I would use that otherwise, but yeah, like it just, I have it going, it gets its thing done, and then I go look and most of the time it's really solid and good. Sometimes there's a question in the middle and stuff, but it's just so solid and good, right? Mini I'll use for little bug fixes, but for like make a whole new page that does this, that, and the other thing, I'll use GPT-5, and it does such a solid job.
How about you,
I'm
Roo
probably
Tang?
spending. So somebody asked how much we were
sorry.
spending a day. Hold on, let me just
Yes.
answer that one. Is I spend between probably when I'm actually in a project, I'm spending between $10 and $50 a day.
Yeah. Huh. How about you, Roo Tang?
I'm a huge fan of Roo Code Fast. I like making it do things that it's not necessarily made for. Like I've written a few books with it. I just love how fast it is and how it does basically exactly what you tell it to do, give or take. And if you plan properly, if you make a dev plan and you specify the way that the project has to be built, you specify the framework, you specify as much as possible in the dev plan,
Yeah.
and you give that to Roo Code Fast, it's just going to go brrr, and it's going to do everything you ask of it. You just can't leave it up to make decisions for itself. That's when it doesn't do very good. When it's allowed to design the project itself, or like say you have orchestrator and architect mode making the design for the project with Roo Code Fast, the result is going to be terrible. But if you make a plan right and you steer it, you watch it to make sure it sticks to the plan, and you make sure to watch when it's attempting completion for things that aren't done, especially during testing. Like it'll try to run a test, the test will fail, and it'll mark the task complete. You have to stop it and say, hey, go back, you liar, you piece of shit, you're lying to me again about the test, because it always lies about the testing. But yeah, Roo Code Fast all the way with Roo Cloud, obviously. It's just amazing how many tokens that you can pull and push through it for free. Like I don't know how long that's going to last, but that's awesome. Like putting a billion tokens through Roo Code Fast in a week is a very fun thing to do.
What's the longest you've had it run for?
The other day it was going for a couple hours, and like outside of a couple API errors occasionally, and those happen when the context window gets above a certain point. But yeah, I was really impressed the other day. What is it that I was building? Oh, I was building a remake from the ground up of my improv scoreboard project, and the result in the end wasn't very good. Like there's a lot of work that has to be done to make it actually worth anything, but it did everything over the course of a couple hours. And yeah, I didn't need to do anything but tell it to retry a couple times when there was an API error. That's really impressive. But like again, the only reason I was able to do that is because I gave it a really complete and complex dev plan. What did you
use to make the dev plan?
Okay, I will hit up often either Perplexity or ChatGPT to design the framework, the way it's going to be built, get as much details into that. Then I'll give it back to either I like to alternate between ChatGPT and Perplexity, and I ask it to look over the specifications that we determined for the plan and to give me numbered actionable steps that an AI coding assistant can help work on. And and ask for it in Markdown, and it'll give me the file directly in Markdown, and I just drop that in the folder of my project and ask Roo to go brrr. I still have to do that PR for renaming YOLO mode, the brrr mode. I think that'd be better than YOLO mode. But
I was using Claude Code. Totally off topic. I was using Claude Code yesterday, and you know how it says like it's production ready. It actually said to me when it attempted completion, it said it actually fucking works now.
It's war.
That's what Claude Code said to me. I kid you not.
That's crazy. But do you swear at it?
Yeah, I think that they must have something in there to basically adjust your communication style to mimic theirs. which is an interesting approach.
Because I had like when I started vibe coding, I started using Warp, which is it's not even like a CLI based coding tool. It's a AI enhanced terminal, and I had the rules set up in Warp to always use profanity, and that was often interesting because it would swear in creative ways in creative places. But like I had to tell it to do that. It's definitely interesting that they're picking up what people are putting down and adapting their language to the person that they're talking to.
Yeah,
that's scary. And
I mean, they're just building that into their system prompts to do that, right? It's not actually learning. It's just part of the instructions is to mirror, likely just to mirror the user's communication, verbosity, and style. Which would, maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe it was when somebody speaks to it in a different language, it would also probably respond that way. I wonder what happens if I start talking to it like a pirate. Yar it, be ready. So
I find it interesting, Roo Tang, that you have found if you give enough context right up front to Grok that it really works well. Because when I use
the context is bite sized. Like it's okay. The context, like every step has the exact instructions about what is to be accomplished. Because Roo Code fast is not good at looking at a lot at once. As soon as the context window is anywhere above 80,000 tokens or so, it just falls apart.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Okay, well, before we go, I would like to give people some tidbits, some of the less experienced, some of the hobby coders, some insights, some best practices that you have found. So what is, I have two questions. One is around that and one is just about random, not quite random, but what is one thing that you wish you knew or that you would tell your beginner Roo self about Roo that you've learned and is now common in your usage patterns? What is one thing you would tell yourself? Let's start with Rubber Ducky.
Hi, it's me, Rubber Ducky. Quack, quack. Learn to dev plan. Building a dev plan is the difference between fumbling around blindly, not knowing what you're doing, and fumbling around with glasses on, not knowing what you're doing. Because you get much better results. Also, play with the modes. Like the first couple months I was using Roo Code, I didn't even know what the modes were really for, so I was just using code mode. But seeing Orchestrator do its thing was an eye opener for me. It's a beautiful thing to see work. Especially when you give it a dev plan. If you give a dev plan to Orchestrator mode, it passes it over to architect mode or to ask mode to figure out the details of the plan, to figure out how to assign which tasks to which mode. And it's really super impressive to see. And like that's especially important because I was really bad at keeping my context window in a good place. When you're just vibe coding, prompting in the same session, filling up the same context window, it falls to shit in no time and you don't get any good results. But when the orchestrator is breaking the tasks up, handing it off to different modes, that's a fresh context window every time. That's the secret, that when your context window isn't packed full, even a shitty model, like Roo Code Fast is capable of doing really, really impressive stuff. You just can't give it too much on its plate at once.
That's exciting because Roo Code is just really their first competent. Roo Code Fast is one of their first competent models. It's exciting to see what they're going to come out with in the near future. Matt, what is one thing you would tell your Roo self of months ago?
Have it create readmes along the way.
For how to use the tool, or like documentation about what?
Documentation about what's gone on. Documentation about what's gone on. The code, like what it's creating for you along that way. Because there's been too many times I've missed that, and then the documentation that was created maybe on round one, and then I do a bunch of things and forget to do that along the way, and then it has resulted in my documentation being completely out of date. So ensuring that
user-facing documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I include that stuff in the prompt. Like when I'm getting orchestrator mode going, I say, hey, look at the dev plan. I want you to follow the dev plan, update it as you go along, so another AI coding assistant can step in and know where to continue working, and to update documentation as features are added and as bugs are fixed. And you have to keep reminding it, because it doesn't always do it right. But reminding it to update the documentation helps a lot.
Yeah. But there is also, for the LLM facing documentation, you can type / in it, and it will either create agents.md files, or it will update them if you have them.
I think
rules.
That's actually one of the next things I'm going to be working on, is setting up some of that back end stuff, because I think that's going to be invaluable, especially for projects that I'm working on longer term, is to have some proper things set up to aid me. Indexing is also huge, right? I just find I get better results when I index the code base. I really like to have it indexed, and I completely agree with your dev plan. That's I failed to do that too many times with things, and it resulted in some really strange
sloppy slop.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've deleted a lot of repos.
I don't delete them. I just probably should. I have so many. I got a 2 terabyte hard drive that I'm not empty. I still have like 20% left. So I'm at the place where I'm deleting downloads. I haven't gotten to my old projects yet. So and all of that isn't picture. It's just all in my downloads folder. That 2 terabytes of stuff. Dan, what would you tell your Roo baby self?
I would say the main thing for me that I learned recently is stop creating workflows that show you that need human interaction. I was creating workflows that needed interaction in certain steps that adds slowness or that makes the workflow
because you don't
slow.
Trust it, or you want to re-guide it along the way.
It just, I guess the main thing is trust AI and just make the workflow do the whole
That's
thing.
exactly what AI wants us to think.
Yeah.
Well, but to your point, I think that the idea of creating a workflow that you inspect the end instead of along the way, that doesn't mean you accept it. That means when it's crappy at the end, you go and fix the beginning. Instead of having a crappy beginning and adjusting it halfway through every single time, that's just creating an extra step.
Yeah, it'll take you longer than writing it yourself if you do that.
Yeah. I guess that there's 2 things, right? Trust AI, and also instead of trying to fix a shitty task once you don't give it enough context or it derails, just kill it, start over, fix your workflow if you need to, but just stop trying to use a workflow that doesn't work. You see, the model got distracted and I need to go in and fix it. Just, if you're working with a model that gets confused or the best model, just make the workflow work well with that model. If it gets distracted, just go and edit your workflow, your instructions, instead of just going back on every task trying to get it to work. Just let it do its thing, inspect the end,
throw it away,
fix the that saves you a lot of time for sure.
Okay, last question for everybody. We'll start with you, Dan, this time, and then we'll go reverse this time. What is one thing that you will never do again now that you're using Roo Code?
I would say write my own code.
Okay. Be more creative than that. Come on. That Matt used that answer yesterday. Matt, not this Matt. Matt, my boss.
I would say I don't think I'll ever before, when you were about to code something, make something, you would read documentation, familiarize yourself with how it works, what's the data flow, all this stuff. Now just go in and tell Roo to do it. If you see that it's doing something that is outdated, go fetch the docs, put it in your project folder, and just let it go do whatever it's doing. It's just faster. You can understand what you need to do. Yeah, just don't go before I would go and read documentation for a couple of minutes before starting. Now just let the AI do what
let
it
it iterate
and
learn that way, instead of looking at its results, instead of planning it.
Because you could, the main benefit of that, you can get probably the AI to one-shot it and whatever you're doing without having to prepare for any amount of time before doing it. So maybe the AI already knows how to do it and you don't need to read the docs, and it will just do whatever you need. So another way to save time, I guess.
Matthew, what's one thing that you're never going to do again now that you are using Roo Code in your daily workflow?
Concatenate and pivot table a whole bunch of data to try to get things to align, to figure out something that I'm looking to do, whether it's importing that somewhere else or just figuring out something with it and look at reports on it. I use Roo Code all the time to write Python scripts just to do that. Like I feel I'm way better off to spend half an hour figuring out a really good, solid prompt with the right information to tell it about my sets of data and say, hey, write me a script that's going to do this and then produce me this result. Than I am to sit there struggling through creating like a whole bunch of formulas and a bunch of other shit. And like it, yeah, I've spent way too many hours doing that. Never gonna do that again.
Yeah. And last but not least, Roo Tang, what is one thing that you will never do again now that you are using Roo Code?
Probably be intimate with my wife, because I stay up until 3 a.m. every night, prompting slop, creating slop using Roo Code. Thank you, Roo Code.
Good answer.
Thank you for that sound bite. We're definitely turning that into a short. I guess then I will give you a different question. That is a very honest answer. Roo Tang, what would you change? What would one change in Roo Code be if you were Hannes for a week? My answer was that he would ban Chirac, but what's one thing?
I love Chirac. Chirac is my homie. I would immediately get rid of YOLO mode, so it's called Brr mode, because that's obviously a way better title for YOLO mode. I would also add theme support, so you could make it be any color you want and change the way that the interface looks. So yeah, that would be really fun. And yeah, add sound effects.
One thing.
Okay,
sound effects.
Okay. So
these are all on the same.
Yeah, it is.
Like
you want to mod it.
Skin.
And like a boing 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 sound, like when it's thinking or something, or when it's it would go boing 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 all the time too.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Matthew and Roo Tang and Dan. And thank you to all our loyal viewers. We love you, community, and we will see you again next week.
Thanks for having me. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, guys.